All right, hello everybody. We are on the air. Hello everybody. Hope everybody's having a good day today. I'm a bit sick still, so sorry if I sound horrible. Um it might just be me today on the stream. I don't know. I've sent out the link to quite a few guests. I've sent the link out to quite a few guests, so we will see. We will see if anybody comes and joins me today on the stream. But the usuals, the regulars they all have the link. So we'll see if anybody decides to stop by. Um, but the good news is Sean turned in the final pages of Blood Reaper. So all 60 excuse me, all 60 pages of Blood Reaper are finally all finished being drawn, being penciled and inked. Those are all finally done. And so now it's up to Joey to finish lettering. We already have a chunk of the book lettered, and so Joey has to finish that up. He has to finish up lettering, and then I have to proofread it, and we have to make sure the file is all ready for print, and then we'll be sending it to the printers this month. And so turnaround time is probably from the printer to me is probably going to be about 2 weeks. So that's so not a terribly long wait. So I'm hoping I'll probably have the books in hand towards the end of the month, and they should probably start going out sometime in November, maybe late October. They could start going out depending when exactly I get them. But I don't exactly have a date yet when Joey is going to be done lettering. Me and him are still trying to figure out the deadline for that because he does have his day job and school, and so me and Joey were trying to figure out this morning when exactly he could be finished, but hopefully soon. A good chunk of the book's already lettered, so I cannot wait to get that to you guys. It's I know we're a few months late on it, but oh well, I blame Sean, and maybe he'll talk about if he comes on. I think he might be busy. I called Sean earlier right as he was heading out somewhere. I don't know if he's home yet, but Sean has the link. And let's see what's going on in the chat. We got Devin Graham. What's up, Devin? Says congrats. Well, thanks, Devin. And Devin, if you want to get on here and talk movies or something, then I think you have the link. I might have sent it to you on Twitter. But Devin, if you want to come on talk horror movies, you have the link. We could maybe discuss what we've been watching for 31 Days of Halloween. I saw your recap video. You watched like 20 movies in 7 days. And I was like, I felt accomplished because I was like, yeah, 7 movies in 7 days. I got this. And I did it. And then I see Devin. He's like, all right, guys, this is my recap for 31 Days of Halloween, week 1. In 7 days, I watched half of the movies I own. He watched like 40,000 movies. I was like, oh my goodness. But we got Colton in the chat. Hello, Colton. He says, what's up, party people? I'm here, the only heartbreaker here. Hello, Colton. Nice to see you there in the chat. Midnight Cherry TV says, congrats. Thank you, Cherry. Thank you so much, Cherry. I definitely have a copy that I will be sending you. Excuse me, guys. Sorry, I couldn't mute it in time for coughing. I'm sick. It's been a terrible couple days. Colton says he could come on. Says, I know you've been watching some great horror movies like Halloween 3. Man, I'm sorry. I really didn't like Halloween 3, Colton. Tonight, I watch Fright Night for the first time, the original Fright Night. I also have the remake that's on my list for another day this month. I think maybe towards the end of the month, I think. But I have the original. Let me grab my list. It's right here next to me. Devin says, cough, you boy. But yeah, tonight is Fright Night, the original Fright Night. Tomorrow's Hellraiser. I'm looking forward to those. So far, I've watched The Exorcist, The Omen, The Witch, Graduation Day, Halloween 3, Texas Chainsaw Christine. Watched those this month. Halloween 3 was the only one I really didn't like. And all the other ones were pretty much just rewatches outside of The Omen. That was my first time watching The Omen, but it's been a really fun October so far. I can't wait to watch Fright Night tonight. I only hear good things about it, so I think that's going to be a fun watch. Fright Night tonight. Felix Haas is here. Hello, Felix. Colton says you need to watch House with 1,000 Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, and 3 from Hell this month. You should do like a triple feature. It would be awesome. Let me see. I don't think those ones are on Netflix or anything. I think you might have told me where to find them, Colton, but I think it's been a couple months. So Excuse me. I'll definitely go back and check our messages, Colton. Colton, how was Disney? You never told me how that was. You might have posted a recap or something, but I think I missed it. Um, uh, Evan Hotep, formerly Evan Von Scriver, is in the chat. Hello, Evan. Devin says, Fright Night, for real. Oh, man, I cannot wait to get to this movie. I have not heard one person say one bad thing about this movie. Felix says, congrats on Blood Reaper. Thanks, Felix. It is awesome to finally have it done. Man, it's been way too long. A few too many missed deadlines from Sean, but that's all redeemed finally. He's turned in the last pages, and I absolutely love it. I cannot wait to get this thing ordered. Now it's time for me to start bugging Joey every day, because I used to bug Sean every day. Every day I'd message Sean, any new pages tonight? Any new pages tonight? Every night I message Sean, how's drawing going? How's drawing going? How's drawing going? You got any new scans for me? Any new pages I could send to Joey? Anything, any new pages? And Sean would get so annoyed. And so now it's time for me to annoy Joey, because every day I'm going to be like, hey, Joey, any pages? Any pages? Any pages? Oh, man. Joey's going to hate me by the end of this process. But yeah, me and Sean are already thinking about what exactly we're gonna do for book 2. I'm gonna try somehow to save up and try to get most of the art paid for before we launch the Indiegogo. I don't know when exactly that Indiegogo might be, but I'm going to, and I have to redo the script for book 2. But I believe book 2 is probably going to conclude the series, but I gotta rework it a little bit. Got to tweak some things. I think I might actually scrap most of it. It was going to be 3 books total, and then I realized I could. There was a way to combine books 2 and 3 into one book, and so it'll be a lot cleaner of a story, a lot more concise, and it'll just flow a lot better when I combine 2 and 3. So I got to rework that. Then we got to figure out how I'm gonna pay him for the next book, so we could get that launched maybe sometime next year. All just depends how things work out financially. Let's see. Evan says Rob Zombie is an awful director. Evan, I've only seen 2 Rob Zombie movies, Halloween and Halloween 2. I really loved his Halloween movie. Honestly, it's one of the better Halloween movies in the whole franchise. I really love his Halloween. It's a fun watch. I've seen it a couple times. It's been a few years, though. It's time for a rewatch for sure. I don't know if I could get to rewatching it this month, though. I just have so many others already scheduled and picked out. But his Halloween 2, I did not like it. I only saw it once. So I can't really agree with you or disagree with you, but I just know I really liked his first Halloween movie. I didn't like his second one, but I should give his second one a second chance. Maybe when I rewatch his first one, I'll try to rewatch the second one as well. But I really got no opinion there, Evan, since I've only seen 2 of his movies, and I liked one and didn't like the other. Heartbreaker says, all 3 of those movies are not on any streaming service, but you can buy The House of a Thousand Corpses or Devil's Rejects for $5 each if you buy them on DVD. Interesting. Or you could get them for $15 on Blu-ray as a double feature, and you can buy the DVD of 3 from Hell, which is coming out October 15th for like $5 or $10 on DVD. That's not bad at all. I will definitely be checking those out when I can, Colton. It might have to be after the campaign when I have a little extra spending money, or rather after we ship the campaign, because it's already, oh, hey, we got a guest. Let me add him. What's up, Tim?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much, dude. I was just going over some of the Blood Reaper stuff. Then we started talking about Rob Zombie movies in the chat. But, dude, I am so excited because all the art is done. Now Joey just has to finish lettering. Me and him were trying to figure that out, though. He has some work assignments and school assignments, so me and him were trying to figure out this morning when he could get it done. The rest of the lettering, because a lot of it's already lettered, but he just has to finish that. Then I have to proofread it, and then he has to finish formatting it, and then so we should. So it's going to be ordered this month sometime. I just don't have that exact date yet, but it's going to be ordered this month. Turnaround time, I believe, is about 2 weeks from my printer in Michigan, and then so it's looking like they should be shipping out. Depending when he
Printer
gives it
in
back to me, this,
Michigan.
huh?
I got printer in Michigan. I gotta look this up. I'm not aware of any printer in Michigan.
Oh, Comics Wellspring.
Oh yes, yes. Never mind. I know of them. I just didn't know that was where they printed from.
Yeah, they're up in Michigan. Last time with Stardust, I was able to expedite it, and we got it a little quicker. But I don't think that's in the budget for this time.
Okay.
Yeah, but their regular turnaround time, even without that, is only like 2 weeks. So, depending when Joey turns in the final print files, there's a possibility we might be shipping out at the end of this month. Um, More than likely the start of November. But I'm just super excited to get that out finally, man. I've just been so nervous. It's like every night I've been messaging Sean. I'm like, hey Sean, any new art? Any new pages? Any new scans? Anything? You got anything for me? Every night. And now Joey's about to go through the same thing every night. Hey Joey, did you letter it? Did you letter it? Did you letter it?
That's good. Yeah, that's always so I was talking to Doug Ernst and I was like, what are the things that you've learned from running this? And he's like, it's actually kind of a miracle that any comic ever gets produced because there's so many
Yeah,
cogs in the machine. And I told him that it's actually pretty stressful the first time you do it because you're just it's all about waiting on other people and you're just assuming that everything is going to go the way things are planned. And you hope for the best and you expect the worst and you're just like waiting on pins and needles for things to happen. I mean, that's how it's
totally.
going on right now. We have a printer that we haven't used before, but he came highly recommended by a lot of people that we know. And so the problem is that his communication isn't that great. I'm used to dealing with customer service with printers who are like immediate, like 24-hour service. And this guy is basically almost like a one-man operation. And so that's the thing that is going on right now is our book is finished. It's just that I had like a question I asked him and I emailed him yesterday morning and I still haven't gotten a response. But
Oh man.
I'm like, I don't want to be that guy who like calls his personal number up and is like, hey, what's my answer to this thing? I want to give him some time to be able to get to it. So,
Oh man,
ugh,
that
yeah.
reminds me of, I think it was Eric Weathers was telling me about some printer a few months ago. It was like earlier this year. He was telling us about this printer in I forgot where exactly it was, but it's in the United States. And he's like,
Uh-huh.
it's very comparable with Print Ninja prices. And I was like, oh my goodness, we get to buy American and we have competitive pricing. I was like, so I just hurried to this website and I sent them an email. I never heard back, and then I sent a follow up email a few days later, and then this guy replies. He's like, "Yeah, just give us a couple days, we'll get you that quote." And I was like, "Sweet." A couple days go by, absolutely nothing. I messaged them like 5 more times, like 5 more follow-up emails, like, you got my quote yet? You got my quote yet? I'm trying to use you guys. If your prices are good, like, you got my quote? Never heard back from them. So that's why I'm sticking with Comics Wellspring, because their communication's great. Everything ran smoothly the first time. But man, you're right about people assuming things are just gonna go smoothly. Because man, for Stardust, everything went perfectly fine, everything according to plan, not a problem at all. And so then it's like the same exact team, like the very next campaign with them, it's like almost everything goes wrong. It's like Sean is like months late on art, and then Joey's like, yeah, I just got some work and school to do. And I'm like, no, guys, do this, please. Like ASAP. Like I hate it because like I have no clue how to letter anything or format them. So I'm just like here, just sitting, like waiting for Joey.
Right.
So yeah, so that's the tough part.
Well,
But man,
it's tough, but the good thing is that you know that they're reliable because it's already been done before. So
yeah.
you know that you're not going to get shellacked or anything because these are people that you've worked with, and so you give them a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, and oh man, I saw that your campaign ended. I thought it was going to end man, and I felt so bad when it ended because I thought it was going into man. I was like, oh man, I would have had like a last day stream for these guys and tried to get a little hype towards the end.
Well,
But because I had
it's
Mark
no
on
one's.
when I
Yeah,
when I
go
had
ahead.
when I had Mark on like the day before, and I was like, it's ending in like a day, but I think it's going in demand. He didn't object, and so I just thought like it was gonna go to in demand. He didn't tell me it was just ending.
Oh, it's not his fault. It's my fault. I think I told people it was going to go in demand, but here's the reality. I was it was like 2 days before the campaign ended, and I thought to myself like my thing is this. So people might not like working with me because I'm very schedule oriented, and I kick myself for not making deadlines, even if I'm like a week or two off. I mean, I hate it personally. And my thing is that once I get money in, I start writing the check immediately. I don't wait. I just start cutting checks left and right. And it occurred to me that our fulfillment, the way we work, is I pay them per book. Like, if we sell 300 books, it's 300 times whatever they want per book to ship out. And so I just thought, like, if I have in demand where we constantly are getting new orders, there's no way, I can, I'm not good at math. Like, I know it's the whole Asian thing, but I'm not good at math. I have a spreadsheet keeping up with things. So that was one, is I just know that dealing with the incoming orders was going to be a hassle. And two, I ordered X number of books. So what would happen if like I ordered this number of books and then I don't know, we got like a Nasser Rabadi hot hit and we got like 200 extra orders on top of what I ordered. Well, crap. That means I have to go back to the printer and then get it, and it's going to be a new print run, not the print run that's going to be shipped to us. So that you're starting from scratch and you don't get the bulk order discount that you got before. And so I just had to be like, look, there's no way we can do in demand at the moment because I got to start cutting these checks and dealing with the numbers and stuff. Plus, I'm dealing with the Soul Finder campaign too and fulfillment and shipping on that. I'm basically running point on it. So with two different projects to juggle, it just isn't the right time.
Yeah, I like to cut the checks too. That's why I didn't keep it in demand any longer than we did. Well, there were
Mhm.
two reasons. One, I wanted to start ordering the stuff. Two was hold on, wait. Let me. Sorry, I'm had together my thought. When me and Sean were talking about like the art progress and stuff, and when he was talking to me about it, it was before some of his other um things he picked up came along. So when I ended it, I was like, well, we're gonna be on time. July, so why don't I just end this now and start ordering stuff? And so that's when the delays happened, like after I closed it. But I like to close them down because then it's like, sweet, I get to order everything. Like for Stardust, we didn't do in demand at all because by the time it ended, he was like, let's see, when did it end? It ended like mid-August, and we ordered on like the first week of September, and he was like, "Yeah, I just got a few pages left," and I was like, "Yeah, in demand's not really worth it because I mean we're gonna start fulfillment like ASAP on it for Stardust, so that's why we didn't even go in demand. It just ended, and I ordered everything. Now when people started
Uh-huh.
asking me to open it again, Stardust last year, that's why I did like a digital only campaign for a week, just so I wouldn't have to get more shipping supplies because I already had everything like all laid out in my spreadsheet and knew what all we were buying. So that's why with Stardust we didn't do in demand. And this one I closed it down maybe a little earlier than I could have just because I was like, let's just order everything now. So I've had all the shipping supplies around me for like months, and it's just daunting because it's down in the basement room where I write. And so it's like every time I sit down at the computer, it's like I got this like 5 big boxes of Gemini mailers that are just staring me down like, when are you gonna ship us? When are you gonna ship us?
They're feeling neglected. They're like,
Yeah.
ship us, Nasser, ship us.
Yeah, I have like all the trading cards down here and all like the I have like I think we sold like 7 of the Kick Nasser buttons and I ordered like 200. So I have like this big bag of like red HAL 9000 eyes that are just staring at me.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah.
What are you gonna do with those buttons, man? You should start
Oh,
doing conventions and just giving them away as like promo items, I guess.
oh man. Well, I figured I would order more just because the more you buy of them, the cheaper it is, and I'd already budgeted for that amount because I think we said on the campaign like we had like 200 available, and
Yeah.
I really didn't think it was going to hit 200, and of course it didn't. We only sold I think like 7 of them, and so I
Uh-huh.
was like, well, I'll budget for 200 just because I think we're going to hit lower than that. So then it'll just be extras for like a future campaign or a giveaway or something. So I've given away I think like 2 or 3 of them. I think I sent Doug to Naples one, and think I sent I might have sent 7 of 9. I don't know if you know him. He's one of our regulars around here. I sent him one of them, and I might have sent Devin Graham one of them as well. But I've sent out like 3 of them just because I have like 200 of them and I only need 7.
I'm
So
looking at your chat, and these are some of these people I have never encountered before. You have I see some familiars. I see Devin Graham, and I see Bean from PA. She's really cool. That's really cool.
Let me see. Let me catch up on the chat. Evan Hotep, aka Evan Von Scriver, says House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects felt more derivative than I prefer. Well, I can't comment because I still have to see those movies. But hello, Bean from PA. Hello. Uh, let's see. Devin Graham says Rip typing, driving now. Rob Zombie rules, and if you disagree, I will crawl over there and skull F the the expletive out of you. Okay, Devin. Um, alrighty then. Doremicon blog, been a while since I've seen you, says I cannot wait for Trixie to arrive. Yeah, man, I can't wait to send it out either. I'm just like so excited now because it's like Joey just has to finish lettering, just got to finish lettering, just got to, proofread it. And oh, sweet, Jiminy Cricket's here. Let me add him. Hello, Jiminy. Jiminy? Hello?
Nasser, let your conscience be your guide.
Anyways, since I can't hear Jiminy, let me finish what I was reading in the chat.
How you doing?
Oh, now I could hear you.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. What's up? Yeah, hello? Okay, Jiminy's a boomer.
You can't hear me. Ah!
Jiminy, don't make me kick you now. Jiminy, you're being a boomer.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay, anyways, Josh Graydon says, yo, what's up? Nothing much, Josh. Just really excited that we got the last pages of Blood Reaper.
You hear me now?
Yeah, we've been heard you.
Hello?
Do I have to kick him?
My gosh.
If I kick him, can he come back?
Okay, I'm gonna bounce out. Bye.
Bye. I was about to kick him.
Back.
But Evan is excited to see Jiminy, even though Jiminy just boomered out. We have Ash and Jackal. Hello. Felix is hi, Jiminy. Colton's talking more about Rob Zombie, about his movies that I'm not familiar with at all. We got 12 people watching, so please hit the thumbs up, you guys, and share out the link to this stream. And I'm going to put the link to my books here in the chat, so you guys could order those on Amazon or Kindle. If you order them on Amazon, it'll arrive in about 2 days. If you download it on Kindle, you'll have it instantly to read on any device, your computer, phone, tablet. If you actually own a Kindle, you can read it on that. You can read it anywhere instantly.
So people listening in the stream, you got the inside scoop. I'm looking at your printer, Comics Wellspring, and your pricing. So what I did was I took the pricing for the printer I'm using and I matched it to Comics Wellspring. It's actually really good for the quote. It actually beat the other guy I was looking at, and this is all domestic, which is really cool. So I'm gonna bookmark this just in case we need something in the future. And this is who you've been using for a while now, right?
Yeah, they're who I used on Stardust and who I'm using for Blood Reaper now. And then when we do the next Blood Reaper book, I'm going to use them again. But I don't know when the next Blood Reaper book will be, because I want to somehow pay for the art before we launch, get a lot more of it done. Just, things are different now than they were back at the launch, and I don't want to, get into that, but I'm sure most people viewing know that we'll probably have to pay for a lot more of it up front first.
Yeah. I don't know. We're spreadsheets kind of guys, so we like looking at all the numbers and making sure everything is lined up. I mean, that's something that like you, me, John Della Rose, a couple of us have in common. Preston Poulter. We put a lot of our own capital up front just to guarantee that we have something to show, or at least make sure that the project has legs before it gets funded. That's not easy, like at all, because just because we have a book finished or close to finished by the time we launch doesn't mean that we're going to make our money back per se, which is why you gotta have a budget somewhere. Actually, it was really touching because for Black Ops, I mean, we kind of went all out because that's like for me and Mark, that's like our pet project, and we put a lot of heart and soul into it. And so I really stretched my budget. I hired a ton of artists, but at the last minute, we had one guy who actually approached us and was like, "Can I do work for the book?" And I was like, "You can, but do I have to pay you?" And he was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Well, I don't have a budget anymore. Like I literally spent my last dime on this guy." And he was like, "Ah, damn it. But hey, that's how it works. I mean, I would like to pay
Yeah.
all these people who can contribute to stuff, but and I'll take some volunteer submissions if people want, but for this particular project, it was last minute in terms of things I had to do and get taken care of and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Putting in the money up front sometimes could be risky. Sometimes it pays off though. Like it definitely paid off with Stardust and Blood Reaper, but but my book's on Amazon. I haven't quite made the money back on any of those yet. So for all of you listening, we got 12 viewers. You each need to buy about 10 copies of each book.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Yeah, 10 or even 20. I mean, they make great gifts. You know, you don't even have to read them. You could use them as doorstops. You could hit people over the head with them. You know, you do whatever you want with them. Jiminy Cricket is in the chat. He says, I could hear them. They apparently couldn't hear me. We heard you. We were talking to you. But you just kept saying, hello, 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 the whole time, Jiminy. So Jiminy, I mean, I guess you could come back if you want. I mean, I heard you just fine, but you just kept saying hello, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Jiminy, hey, what's up?" And you were just like, "Hello." So, I don't know what was up with you, Jiminy, but come back if you want, because we did hear you. So, man, I was talking to somebody. I think it was yesterday about a comic, and I was going over some math with them, and and they're like, what if I'm charging like this much per page, and what about this much, you know, what would be like a good like goal? And like I was going through, like I opened up a spreadsheet, I started typing in numbers, and I just started thinking like of all these little things, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so much more expensive than the person suggested. Like, oh man, for all of you guys that want to run an Indiegogo eventually, make sure you like think of everything. Because like,
oh my gosh, no kidding. So
man,
someone
like,
just forwarded me another printer, and while you were talking, I was actually putting their my specs in, and holy cow, like it's super expensive. And this one came like really recommended, and I'm like, man, Nasser just gave us the hookup with this other printer that beat you by like $1,200, like exact same specs. So it's,
yeah,
I don't know, kind of insane.
man, like
You gotta
I
do a
was
lot of research.
like when I was talking to this person and I was telling them prices like on my phone like at night, and then I think this might have been 2 days ago actually, and it was like I think it might have been Sunday, and so at night I was talking to him, I was like telling him like this number, that number, and it's like I got on my computer, opened up this the spreadsheets, and I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even tell him about bags and boards yet. Like oh my goodness, there's just like so many things, everybody. You gotta like spend 5 days just brainstorming all your different expenses, because you're gonna forget about something at one point. Oh man.
Yeah. So much
Man.
things to juggle.
Okay, Jiminy Cricket, can you hear me? Jiminy?
Okay. You guys hear me now?
I think so. Jiminy?
I'm right here.
Okay, I hear you. Do you hear me?
Okay. Cool.
Oh,
I'm right here.
Jiminy, do you hear me?
Yes,
I hear you. Okay, then what's all the confusion?
Good.
Okay, Dave Asanovich, I think. Asanovich. I don't know how you say it, Dave. You got to spell it out in the chat how you pronounce it. Says, who has their Halloween costume ready? I sort of have mine. I have a Freddy sweater, so I'm just gonna go out on Halloween in my Freddy sweater and get candy.
My wife and I were talking about that. We haven't done Halloween in so long. And I used to love like doing the costumes and stuff. The last time we went, it was funny because we actually had people of like all different sizes, and so we actually went as like the kids from South Park. It was the cheapest Halloween costume I ever made because like they were just stuff you can buy on Amazon. Like the most expensive thing was like a jacket that resembled Cartman's, but it was like $30. It was funny though because my wife went as Sheila, like Cartman's mom. But that was the last time we did anything. That was, holy cow, 6 years ago, I think.
I don't think I've actually like dressed up for it since I was like 10, and I can't even remember what I was. But I've always just gone out and gotten candy, even though I'm an adult now. I still go with my little brother and my little sister, even though they're teens now, and so it's like, it's like we just look like a bunch of like grown, people going out and getting candy. So I've finally had people start telling me in the last couple of years, like, aren't you too old for this? I'm like, am I too old for free candy? Like, I don't understand.
What is this nonsense you speak? It's free candy.
Right. It's like, well, when you get old, you just stop eating candy? Like, I don't get it. Like, I just love sweets and candies and everything like that. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Like,
I'll tell you something though. Like, I kind of get it because I'm not big into candy, but I love like chocolate bars.
like yesterday, when my mom came home from the store, she had like a few boxes of chocolates. I was like, oh, what's all this? Like, she had like 4 of them, and she's like, oh, there was some kid selling it outside of I think she was at Walgreens or something. She's like, there was some kid outside the Walgreens that was selling it for his school, so I just figured I'd help him out and buy some. And I was like, well, sweet, I love this. And I just been like everything, and she like left it on the kitchen table, so it's like every time I like walk by, it's like I go to get water, I'm just like, I'll just take one piece of candy, and then I'll pass it by again to go back to my room, and I'm like, just 2 more pieces. Like, I'm just like slowly eating all this chocolate. Let's see, Dave says #CandyGate. Oh man, you've been posting a lot of good desserts. That like shaved ice, I think it was, that like frozen watermelon stuff. Like,
Dude,
oh my goodness, I need those. I need to go to those places you go to.
let me look up your area. Hold on. I don't know your address, but I'm gonna guess.
I'll just send you my address.
No. I don't want to do that. I don't like knowing people's like personal information.
I mean, you already have it like 10 times over. All your Indiegogo sent back.
Do you live near the Chicago area? Because I know it's somewhere in Illinois.
Oh well, I mean, I'm in Chicago. Like, it's.
Oh, you are? Okay, never mind. Because the thing is that all I do is I just zoom into Chicago and I just type in like this search function. So let me take a look here.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh, you have a ton of like bubble tea and boba places. This is crazy. But they're all like on the shore.
Oh man, that's gonna be a trip.
Oh, it's gonna be a trip. So you're more like inland then.
I'm just gonna. Oh, Jiminy left again. I saw he was muted. Oh, he says his mic's giving him too many problems. He put that in the chat. Sorry, Jiminy. I'm just gonna send you my address. I'm pretty sure you
don't. I don't want to know your address.
But then, how are you gonna find these places for me, dude? You have it anyways from your Indiegogo.
Guess. Dude, I'm telling you, I never look at the roster.
Oh well.
I'll let the fulfillment take a look at that because I don't want anyone being like, oh my gosh, the guy doxed me. It's like I don't look at this stuff.
I don't know. I mean, I can't foresee myself like ever going on Twitter or YouTube like, Tim doxed me. I just can't see that. Jiminy says, wanted to tell Tim how much I enjoy his work. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you. I needed that. Makes me feel good.
Excuse me. I didn't mean to yawn into the mic. I'm putting the link again there in the chat. Oh man, what's your next project?
Link your address.
What's your next project now?
Oh, my next project is Common America. That's gonna launch February, March. That book will be like 100%, definitely 100% complete by the time we do it, and it's gonna be very lean. I think we only have 3 perks altogether, and I think some people are gonna be happy because the first perk is a digital one. We're just like, here's the book, but it's stripped down. There's no like back cover. There's no. We normally include like 8 extra pages of story, but we're just gonna take that completely out. So it's like you get a digital version for a cheaper price, but it's just a story. You're not gonna get any bells and whistles with it. And then the mid tier is the print version, and then the high tier is gonna be probably just a piece of original art. But we noticed that just based on so it was interesting because with Black Ops and Walmart, we made approximately the same amount of money, but with Black Ops, our comic was double the price, and our backers were half the number of Walmart. So just assuming that it's the same people, that might mean that cost is, prohibitive. So let's just try and get it as cheap as we can and see if, that helps out a little bit, because we want to have the customers be able to have a price point that they like and that they're happy with. So that campaign is going to be very bare bones.
Yeah, cost is definitely a big factor because with Stardust, I mean, at $8, everybody was getting in on it, and then with Blood Reaper, when people see it's 20, they're like, that's a big risk. So I'm just assuming, because it went down in backers, up in dollars, down in backers, which made me feel a little bit like Marvel.
Well, the other thing too is that sometimes you just don't know. Like you almost wish that you could survey everyone and have them return them, because like for Walmart and Black Ops, the reality is that you have some people who buy Walmart because they collect everything that's Trump, and every time they see a Trump book, they have to have it, and they're not interested in any of our original IP stuff, which is fine. But for those who are and who decide to back or not back our Black Ops books, we do want to know why they do that. And the only thing that we can think of is costs, probably a big one, probably lack of a digital option. Can't be lack of perks, because we definitely upped our perk game for Black Ops. So I don't know. It's just a strange way of trying to figure things out.
Yeah. For the perks, I definitely did a lot on Blood Reaper, more than I wanted to. But people during the campaign were even telling me, like, can you add more perks? I was like, isn't this enough? Like, but no.
Oh, I have a question.
Let me add Ian here real quick. Oh wait, it's not letting me add him. What's your question?
Do you live really close to Midway, like Chicago, the airport?
Well, I mean, not really like that close. Hold on, let me add Ian here real quick. Tim, it'll just be a lot easier if I just send you the address.
There is one that looks really good, and it's on Cicero Avenue.
Oh, Cicero, yes.
It's called the Tasty Chill, and it actually looks really good.
Tasty Chill. Let me Google this.
Look it up Ian, right now.
Yeah, what's up?
Nothing, man. Just I'm sorry, typing
dude,
something in.
This is it. This is the one you want.
Oh, dude, this does not look far at all from me.
It's next to a Ross, like it's in a shopping center.
Oh, dude, it's by the Ford City Mall. Ford City Mall is very ghetto, but it's not far from me at all.
Hey, that's where all the good stuff is.
No, I'm talking like if you go to Ford City, you're gonna get shot.
Get jacked. Oh, okay.
But it's not very far from me at all, really. It's only a few minutes away. Oh my goodness!
I mean, it looks really good.
But Ian, we're celebrating because Sean finally turned in the last few pages of Blood Reaper. So now I'm just waiting for Joey to finish lettering it, and then I have to proofread it and all that fun stuff.
Dude, that's awesome! Congratulations,
Ian. What's been going on with you? I see you've been posting a ton of cool pages of art, man.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm always busy, always working on like between probably 3 and 1 million projects at once. But yes, like right now as I'm talking, I'm doing some pages from. Can you hear that?
Oh my goodness, I hear someone's dog.
Yeah, it's my puppy. She wants attention. But hold on a sec. I'm trying to get her to calm down. But yeah, so I'm working on Bella, please.
Oh my goodness. First Jiminy was having problems, and now Ian.
Yeah, let me hold on a second. Let me go back to you guys. I'm gonna put her
Okay. Oh my goodness. Josh asks, when's the book shipping? Totally depends when I put in the order, and then it's about 2 weeks for turnaround. So assuming I order it within like a week or so, I'm thinking it'll probably be like early November-ish probably is when the shipping will start, but I still have to work out with Joey when exactly he could finish it by. We haven't exactly worked out his deadline yet. Some of it's lettered, not all of it is, and so he just has a few like work assignments, school assignments, and so I'm just trying to work out with him when he's gonna have that time to put it in. So it'll definitely be soon. It shouldn't be too much longer now because the art's all done. Jiminy says, keep that chihuahua quiet.
I'm back.
All right, sweet. So, sorry, what were you saying now?
Yeah, so I'm always working on like a million things right now. Like lately, I can't really post a lot of it, but lately I've been doing Inktober. And this weekend was 24-hour comic day. I have an idea for a comic, but I'm gonna have to wait a while to do it. But the big thing that I have been posting is a story I've been writing and drawing, just chipping away at it, maybe like a page a week or so for the past 3 months or so, called Witch's Woods. And I'm just trying to get the first chapter done, about 25 pages or so, and then I'm going to crunch some numbers and see if it's plausible to put a graphic novel on with the rest of the story on Indiegogo.
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool. I've been loving the art I've been seeing from that.
Thank you.
I don't think I've seen a page from you that I didn't like.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it means a lot. Like, Witch's Woods is just something I'm doing on the side. Like, I realized, I've been freelancing full time for almost 10 years now, and I never really took the time to work on my own projects. So this is just kind of, it's something I'm writing, I'm drawing, and I'm just kind of letting it flow, see what happens. And if people like it, I'll put it out there. And if not, it's just, a really good creative outlet.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely have you on to talk about it. Ian, have you met Tim yet?
I feel like we were on a stream one time, but yeah, and I've seen your work and I'm familiar with you. This is Tim Lim, right?
Cool. This is Tim Lim. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Ron Lim, I love Silver Surfer.
I do like Ron Lim too. No relation.
Yeah,
he's a great artist.
Oh man, I remember I asked you that before. I don't know if you remember that, Tim, but we're on a stream and I made it up. I said somebody in the chat asked, and when you said no, I said, just kidding, nobody asked that. I just wanted to know.
I don't remember that.
I think it might have been the Mindy Wheeler stream, which I think is still up. If you ever go back from like over a year ago, I think if you ever go back and find that, you might find that somewhere. But I remember asking you it like that.
Yeah. A lot. People ask me if I'm like his son or something. It's like, nah, Lim is actually a pretty common last name in South China. It's like Smith almost. I wish I had his talent though.
Oh man. Jiminy Cricket in the chat says, meet Ron Lim's son, Tim.
This is a true story though. This happened at Alamo City Comic Con last year. Jim Lee was there, and they had him at this huge DC booth, and we were right next to him. We were with Heroes and Fantasies, which is one of the largest comic book stores in Texas. So we were adjacent to each other. And up, because it was in the Alamo Dome, so they had this Jumbotron, and they had a camera that was focused on Jim Lee to watch him draw. And I was at my booth, and this group came by, and they said, "Oh, who do we have over here?" And my manager, he likes to play pranks on people, and he goes, "Oh, this is Jim Lee." And he was pointing to me. And they're like, "What? No way." It's like, "Yeah, have you never seen Jim Lee before?" And they're like, "No, we've never seen Jim Lee before." It's like, this is him in the flesh. And I'm sitting there and I'm drawing a commission. But I'm like, "Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Jim Lee." And so I'm like drawing. I was like, "That's me up there. You can see it live." And so they look up and I can tell that they're like, these two guys don't look anything alike. But we don't want to say anything because we think that'll be like really racist. And so they're like, "What, really? Oh, that's crazy." And just by coincidence, we were like wearing the same shirt, like the same color shirt. And they're like, "No way, that's not, oh, what?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not Jim Lee. That's the other guy."
Man.
From the other side.
Man, I want to meet Jim Lee. He was here, I think, in 2018 for C2E2, but get this, he was only here for like a 10-minute signing. And then he left.
I'll tell you.
I was like, what was the point in this? He was here for like 10 minutes on Friday and then left? Like, it just didn't make any sense.
But even if he was there for longer, you'd probably have to wait online, forever. Like I saw this video on Instagram of a meet and greet with Todd McFarlane. And the line was just like going down the auditorium hall. There was like hundreds of people online. And you just go up, you say hello, you shake his hand, and then they like escort you out. That's it.
That's how it was when I met Snyder and Capullo in 2016. Man, I waited there for like 2 hours.
Damn. Yeah. I've never done that. I've never done the meet and greet thing, but I have a friend that'll he'll wait online for Funko Pops. He was online at a convention for like 3 hours to meet was it Jason David Frank from Power Rangers, and yeah, I don't know. I just I'm there for the reality TV stars.
I was gonna say the easiest way to meet Jim Lee is follow him on Twitter and on Instagram, because what he'll do is typically at the places that he does conventions, he'll do either art drops or he'll just be at a bar,
Oh wow.
just drawing. Yeah, I have a friend, and this dude, he's the luckiest person when it comes to this stuff, because he does a lot of conventions, and because he's like a traveling insurance salesman or something, and so he told me this thing because he's gotten 5 sketches from Jim Lee, and I was like, how much did you pay for those? And he said 0. I just followed his trail in terms of where he said he was going to be. So I met him at San Diego, I met him at New York, I met him at Emerald City, and he'll be like, oh, I'm at this bar, and I would just walk into the bar and be like, what you doing? And he was like, I'm just hanging out. It's like, can you sketch this for me? And he's like, sure. So he's a lucky guy.
So you said it was a sketch drop. Like, does he leave sketches people or places and have people find them, or?
I think he did that one time, and I think for the rest of them, it's just like, I'm just hanging out here, so just show up. But I know Rob Liefeld does that.
Yeah,
he did that, as far as I know, like at least 2 years ago.
Yeah, probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I was living in Brooklyn, and apparently I lived right near Sean Gordon Murphy, and we lived near Greenwood Cemetery, this gigantic Gothic cemetery. And he had all this art that he didn't want. So he'd go in there from time to time and he'd say find like Boss Tweed's grave or whatever. And there's going to be a drawing there. And so you go in and it's this humongous cemetery though. There's like thousands of graves. But I guess if you know where to go, you'd find like was it Bill the Butcher or someone? Like, he would just say like, this famous person's grave has a sketch for me on there or a page or something. And you go and there's just a Sean Gordon Murphy page.
Oh, wow. Now what happens if no one shows up?
I guess it gets eaten. I do wonder though, because that cemetery, like, you go through it and it's really old. Like, no one goes to really visit those graves or anything. It's more of like a curiosity thing. So those pages, like if it's like one time there was a page hidden in a tree, like I don't know if anyone would ever find it.
Yeah, well, the reason I thought about that is because I had a friend who he hasn't been published or anything, so he's just basically like a fan artist or an amateur, but super nice guy, and he saw like Rob Liefeld doing that, so he was like, oh, I'm gonna do that too at San Diego. So he was like, oh, come over here and look behind this fire extinguisher and you'll find a piece of art. And like 4 days went and he came by and it was still there. And he was like, wah, wah. It's like, oh, I don't ever want to do that because it hurts so much.
Man, but I think Jim Lee is going to be here in 2020. I think I just saw that announced, but I think he's only here for a day. So it's like, oh my goodness, it's like I can only imagine he's gonna be here for 1 day, so everyone's gonna be trying to get him, at like his like 2 signing times probably, and I'm just like, do I want to wait with like 100,000 other big fat nerds that smell like for Jim Lee?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I need to find out. Let me type this in real quick. I want to see about the registration for C2E2 because that's one of the ones that we want to do next year. Then you can hang out with us.
Yes, some of my friends work there actually, so I'll put in a good word for you. I'll be like, please approve this guy.
Okay, good.
Man,
they're high up. No, you're just like, nah, they're just the volunteers.
No, they work there at Reed Pop, and they go to like 2 or 3 cons a year at least.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, but I remember one time, they haven't done this in a while, but it was probably last year, I think. One of them was like, hey, message me, we're giving away free stuff, what's your address? I was like, oh, okay. Then they sent me that actress from Supergirl, they sent me like a signed print from her. So I don't really watch the show. I seen like a couple episodes and quit, but that was pretty cool.
I've never been to C2E2, but everyone I've talked to who goes there, they love it. They just think it's a great show.
Oh yeah, dude, it's totally awesome. It's very comic centric, but recently they've been delving a little into like the whole like Funkos everywhere. Like when I first went in
Yeah.
2016, when I went in 2016, it was just like every inch of the floor was comics. I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then like by this year, it's like every inch of the floor is like Funkos. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like I was looking for like dollar bins and I was like, where are all the dollar comics at? And I like couldn't find any for a while. I was like, there used to be so many just a few years ago. But it's still very comic centered. I really love the artist alley, man. Every single year, without a doubt, I will find people on Instagram, Twitter, wherever, and I'm just like, I love this person's art. And then I'll scroll through, I'll stalk their art. I'll scroll back on their Instagram, and then it shows like their artist alley table for C2E2, and I'm like, how did I miss them? Like there's even people where I'll meet them and I'll be like, have you been here before? And they're like, yeah, I've been going every year since like 2010. And I'm just like, well, this is like my third or fourth time here. Like, how did I never find you? I have no clue, but like, I'll just see people. Like, I'll throughout the year, I'll always find people that are like, yeah, I've always gone. I don't know how I miss them because that's what I do most of the times. I walk up and down the artist alley like 4 times a day, and I'll go to the floor for a little bit and then go back to artist alley.
I don't know what it is. It's really easy to miss people. A lot of times, like, people have to be on panels or they're doing signings or something, so they'll be out. Like there are conventions I've been to where there's like, there'll be an artist I want to meet or something, and they're just like in and out all the time. So you go to their table and they'll have a sign saying like we'll be back later or whatever. But yeah, it's really easy to get lost in those things and to lose people.
Man, I remember was it this? No, it was last year when I met Will Portacio.
Oh,
I don't know how you say his last name.
Cool, Will Portacio.
Portacio. Well, when I met him, he like his line was like 3 people ahead of me. I was like, am I in the wrong line? I'm like looking around. I'm like, does it? Because like, I was like, does it bend like behind like this table? I'm like, where is everybody? And it was like,
no, yeah. Will Portacio is probably my favorite of the early Image guys. Like I loved his X-Men stuff growing up, and yeah, he's just like a really super cool, humble guy. Like at New York Comic Con, like I went up to his table and no one was there. I'm just like hanging out, talking to him, and when I first really started getting like into penciling comics and stuff, I found this copy of an X-Force comic he did in like the late 90s, but they did an edition where it's just pencils. And I remember I told him about that, and I'm like, I had this thing. It was an X-Force comic, but it was just pencils, and it was amazing. And he had no clue there was a thing. And yeah, that was cool. I had a situation like that with Eric Larson too. Like I went up to his booth. There were like 3 people, and I don't know. I guess I just got him at the right times.
Oh man, from the Image guys so far, I met Wills, Rob, I met Mark Silvestri. I think that's it. I really wanted to meet Jim Lee. We'll see how it goes next year, how his line is. But my first ever comic was his X-Men #1 with Chris Claremont, and I got Chris Claremont to sign it, but now I just want Jim Lee on it, and then it'll be complete.
Yeah.
So it's just like I really want it signed. It's my first comic. I have it here on my desk, and I'm just like, I want Jim Lee on it, but that line is gonna be killer.
Yeah. Speaking of cool starstruck moments, I went to Mocha Fest in Manhattan, I think like 2009, 2010, and I wasn't really expecting much. Like they had a lot of big name people there. Like they had a panel with David Mazzucchelli I saw. I met Rick Parker, and I grew up reading his Beavis and Butthead stuff, and he did lettering and art for all these books in the 80s. And I got word that there was an after party at some bar downtown, and I went with some like artist people I knew, and I didn't really know what to expect. And we get there, it's kind of dead, and then all of a sudden things start picking up, and I started like meeting all these artists that were there, and it's like I didn't know what they look like or anything.
Oh, you're going a little robo.
Yeah, no, that was cool. I loved it.
My true form's coming out. But I'm just talking to this guy, and I'm just talking to this guy like at the bar, and then someone comes up to him and goes, "Oh my God, you're Paul Pope." And I just realized like I was talking to Paul Pope for a couple minutes or whatever, and didn't even realize it was him. All of a sudden, like Kyle Baker was there. Someone pointed him out, and then all of a sudden, like everyone kind of like security comes and they kind of like part the crowd, and a bunch of people come through to this table. And I look, it's Frank Miller, and he was he had his like own little thing, but I was just like completely. It was cool. He has his aura around him. It's hard to explain.
Interesting. He was here, I think 2 years ago, but I never got the chance to meet him.
Yeah.
Man, I'm trying to think who they have announced for next year because they started to announce people, but they've hardly announced anyone, but they've at least announced Jim Lee, and so I'm like hopeful to meet him, but I'm just thinking like he's only going to be there for one day, and that's the stressful part.
Yeah.
Yeah, they announced. Another cool one they announced is Joe Hill. I don't know if you guys ever read Lock and Key. I read the first hardcover. I think there might be like 4 of them, so I got to catch up on the rest. But I really liked at least the first hardcover of Lock and Key, and then I read one of his short story collections. I forget the name. It's somewhere on my Strange Weather. There it is, Strange Weather by Joe Hill. I read that one. That was pretty good.
Yeah, the name sounds really familiar.
Stephen King's son.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, sorry, I didn't mean to yawn. I'm just not feeling well, and I'm exhausted. I had trouble sleeping.
Yeah, it's that time of year. I mean, right before I came on, I just brewed up my 4th cup of coffee of the day.
Yeah.
It's one of those days.
Colton in the chat says, "Notice me." What did
notice
you
me,
say?
senpai. Notice
I mean,
me.
I read some of his chats earlier. He says, in another message, he says, "I did not get to meet my second favorite actor of all time before he died, Sid Haig. I was going to meet him in a year, but he died. I'm so sad. I'm sorry to hear that, Colton."
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that. Now I don't know what to say. Jiminy Cricket says Frank Miller and puts a smiley face.
Yeah.
I really liked his Daredevil. I wasn't that big on his Batman, though, to be honest.
What, Dark Knight Returns or
yeah,
All-Star? Yeah, he's
Dark Knight Returns. Yeah, I wasn't big on it.
He's one of those guys. Like, there's this thing now where if you don't know the historical context of a piece of media or something, you might not like it or anything. Like, there's a whole generation of people now that don't think Seinfeld is funny because they don't understand the context.
Oh, dude, I met someone like that the other day. I was so pissed.
Yeah, and they just think it's like a regular sitcom, but you don't realize that that's a sitcom that kind of started all these weird tropes and stuff. But Frank Miller's the same way. Like, him and Alan Moore were these groundbreaking creators, and it's just everyone's just trying to rip off Watchmen and The Dark Knight Returns, and that it just seems like it gets blended in with all the kind of watered down things that
and they try to rip it off so much, and I don't think they understand why any of it worked in the first place. Especially all the Alan Moore ripoffs. I don't really want to name names, but I mean, no, I don't want to name names, but like they don't understand that Alan Moore was like good because he was being Alan Moore, and so they're like, well, what if I do this whole like story about mysticism and like this and that from like the dawn of time, and it's like, chill.
Yeah, well here's the thing that that bugs me about a lot of comics today, a lot of TV shows, a lot of movies and stuff like that, is that you have something like Watchmen, which is a deconstruction of superheroes, but it had its thing. It was a self-contained story, and that works. They were based off the Charlton characters, but they're, for all intents and purposes, they're their own original characters.
Yeah.
But then when you go and do that to like Superman, it just makes Superman an unlikable character. Like, all the characters in Watchmen are pricks, and when you deconstruct a superhero, like a superhero is supposed to, you have Superman, stands for hope. He always beats the bad guy. It gives you something to aspire to. But if you flip that on its head and you have a flawed super,
well, you're going Robo again.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah, so like when you flip it on its head and you make like Superman evil, or you make Superman like a wimp that is
right, or make Captain America a Nazi.
Yeah, or you make Batman's worst enemy his crippling depression over the fact that he got left over the altar.
Yeah,
you end up just you have something. It makes characters unlikable, and there's nowhere to go from that. Like,
yeah,
I've only seen a couple episodes of Game of Thrones, but from what I understand, it takes the tropes of fantasy and flips it on its head. So in the end, like the reason why it took so long for George R. R. Martin to finish the book and the story is because he didn't know how to end it, because he doesn't have the good guy winning. If that's what I understand.
I have no clue, but I think for superhero comics, especially from Marvel and DC, I think they did so well because they used to be very, lighthearted, friendly, and something like The Dark Knight Returns or Watchmen was something dark, and it did well. So they're like, oh, everything must be dark now when it didn't need to be, and that's why they don't understand why it did good. It did good because it was a fantastic story. It wasn't necessarily just because it was dark, that's not the only factor in it. Watchmen is just so very well written. The characters all feel like real characters. It really I've read it a couple times, and it really has, it's not even the dark aspect, there's even humor in it. Rorschach is, he's a pretty funny guy. He's always roasting people, but the whole thing was, it was just such a good story. That's why it did well. And everyone's just like, no, it must be dark and depressing 24/7 then so it could sell, and that's really nothing. Why it sold, it's not it at all.
So there's this thing I've been thinking about recently where in any kind of genre there's always like a handful of innovators. There's maybe like for, let's say in comics, there'll be you have a deconstruction thing, so you have Watchmen, you have Dark Knight Returns, that becomes popular, and then the Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen it's the culmination of what these creators were doing with their work. It's who they are. Like Watchmen, you can't separate Alan Moore from Watchmen and have it work. It's Alan Moore's story and the storytelling style of Dave Gibbons and the art. It's very much a product of them. But then you have people trying to do their own spin on it, do similar art style, similar story styles, and it's sort of like disingenuous, and it doesn't work. Case in point was the character Speedball from the New Warriors.
Yeah.
He was always this funny kind of goofy character, and then after the events of Civil War, where they failed to stop a superhero from blowing up a bomb in a school, there's 600 kids that were killed, and so he made this metal suit of armor that had 600 spikes on the inside. And anytime he moved or breathed, he'd get poked by the spikes, and he became this character named Penance, and he was all dark and grim, and
Awful.
it's just like that's not what Speedball is. I don't know if they brought him back or anything, but it feels forced. It's like forced cursing.
Yeah, it all comes off as like a cheap imitation whenever they try to just like do the whole, oh, Watchmen was dark, now everything has to be dark. All that stuff just comes off as like very cheap imitations, because they're not, being honest creators or honest writers with their stories. And even, man, it's even with like the books today. Like I stopped reading Marvel and DC, their new stuff, like I don't know, over a year ago, and it just all just came off as just so ugly. I think a lot of these people, some of them have even been, good writers, people where I enjoyed their stuff in the past, like Scott Snyder. I enjoy some of his earlier stuff, but I feel even like people like him, it's like his recent stuff, he's just trying to be like someone he's not. Like he's one of those like guys trying to be Alan Moore. He's one of them, because I've read good stuff even from like Tom King, but I just like a lot of those guys, I don't think they're even trying to be themselves anymore with some of their stuff, because like Tom King Batman is so soy, but like he's honestly, I've read some comics before from him that weren't bad at all, so it's just all just stupid these days.
The other thing too is like when you kind of do that like dark and dour stuff, you just end up feeling bad when it's done. Like if you have too much nihilism in a story and then it ends on kind of a down note, like it could work for like horror, maybe some sci-fi kind of stuff, things that'll make you think, or things that are darker in tone. But like especially in comics, like things like superheroes, you kind of want to feel good, like watching.
Yeah, no one wants to read a superhero to feel depressed at the end of the day. It's like that's like I'm just so. I was about to say something I probably shouldn't have, but no, go ahead.
Well, like a few years ago, I rewatched the first Christopher Reeve Superman movie, and I hadn't seen it since I was like a real little kid. but I still had those feelings that I had when I was a little kid. Like I wanted to be Superman as a little kid. He was this guy you could aspire to. He's just this symbol of hope. He doesn't give up for anything. He'll turn the world around if Lois Lane dies, and why doesn't he ever do that again? But yeah, I you know, maybe you could do like an Elseworld story or something where Superman's evil or bad or something. But I don't know, it's hard to do something with a character that's too perfect and too overpowered. But I think if you have an aspirational quality to it, like Superman, you don't necessarily have to take away his powers for him to be interesting, or something like that. Like you can make Superman interesting if he sneezes and destroys the solar system.
Oh man, I don't think most of these writers these days understand Superman, and for some reason I think like all the British people that write him understand him even more than some of the Americans.
Yeah.
Alan Moore. Oh my goodness, it's like, Alan Moore, please, can you just write Superman and never let anyone else touch it? Because the Alan Moore Superman is just some of the best comics I've ever read. He's just a genius.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about this recently. Like I grew up reading Superman comics probably when I was like 4 or 5, probably around like 1990, 91 or so. And then the Death of Superman happened. I had those comics. But aside from that, I've never read Superman or wanted to read Superman. And I think I like the idea of Superman better than the comics. I'm sure there's great comics out there. But I don't know. There's something about what he stands for as a symbol that I think is sort of transcends the medium. I'm kind of rambling, but
Jiminy Cricket in the chat says, "I'm still shocked that Nasser manages to get Tim Lim on his show regularly. Who'da thunk?"
Oh, why is that weird?
I don't know. I just thought it was funny for him to say that. I don't know. Maybe Jiminy's just jealous his mic never works. And we have Tyler in the chat, Drawn Talk, who has the link. I don't know why he didn't come on, but he says, I agree with you about Snyder. His early work was amazing. Now he thinks too much of himself and now trying to be Grant Morrison. Oh, definitely. Same with Tom King. If you overhype someone, they get a god complex. Oh, definitely. Tell me about it. Snyder, I like his horror comic Witches, and I like his Batman Noir that he worked on with, I think, with Jock. It's on my bookshelf, and it's hard to read the names on the spine from here. But like, I like that, and I like some of his early New 52 stuff as well. Scott Snyder, I really liked his stuff, but then he just the more it went on, it's like the more he just tried to be ridiculous, because he's, like Tyler said in the chat, he's trying to be like Grant Morrison. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I'm not that big on Grant Morrison myself, but I mean, when you just keep trying to be someone else, it never comes off as genuine. That's why, like, I almost had a brain aneurysm trying to read Scott Snyder's Justice League stuff from like a year ago, maybe. When they relaunched Justice League from #1, and I forget who the artist on it was, but Scott Snyder, I was just so bored. It was like this thing, that thing, the threshold of existence, the dawn of time, this asteroid that's been traveling to Earth for 50 gajillion years, and like this dimension, that dimension. I'm just like, what? Whatever happened to like Batman punching people?
Yeah. I remember reading that issue, the first Justice League, and I just remember it was people sitting around.
Yeah, I tried to read the second one. I was like, maybe it's just a bad first issue. I couldn't get through it. I was just so bored, so unbelievably bored.
Well, speaking about aspirational things, like your first comic was X-Men #1, the Jim Lee one, and for me that was a very early comic for me. And remember how great that was? You had 4 covers on it that were like gatefold. It was an oversized issue. It had amazing art. Really cool story. Certain editions, I think, had a sketchbook thing in the back. It was like everything you wanted in #1 issue. It was big, bombastic, everything. And I think I sort of expect all #1 issues to be like that. Have a #1 issue collector's item thing in the top. But yeah, it's now since things are so decompressed, you get the first issue and it's just like, they have to set things up and I don't know, it just kind of feels like you're in the middle of a story.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I never understood the whole writing for the trade thing, or whatever you want to call it. Here, most people call it writing for the trade. Like, let me stretch this out to 6 issues. I just never understood that. I would be so bored if I'm just like, let me see how much filler I could put in here to stretch this story that's like 1 to 2 issues max. Let me stretch it into 6.
Yeah.
So what I really like about, especially the Jim Shooter era of Marvel, I think 1978 to 1987. Man, I don't know why they ever got rid of him. In my opinion, he should still be editor-in-chief up to this day. But man, the Jim Shooter era of Marvel, it was just such fantastic storytelling. It was, they never dragged out a story to 6 issues unless it absolutely had to be 6 issues, unless it was that big of a story. It was just normal. It was just normal storytelling, the kind of storytelling I like. Actual heroes being heroes and not the just garbage that's just honestly a waste of paper and ink that they get today.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've ever checked out Jim Shooter's blog. He started writing a blog about maybe 10 years
I've
ago.
seen it a little bit. I don't know if he still posts, but I read all his stuff about writing and writing tips, and it was very helpful.
Yeah, he just came into Marvel. Like they had something like 5 different editors in chiefs in like the past 2 years or something, and he just kind of came in and he kind of broke it all down and built it right back up. And yeah, it was like you said, like this focus on storytelling, making things clear. Like a lot of people when they talk about Claremont's X-Men, they talk about how verbose he is. Every issue they have to talk about Wolverine's razor keen adamantium claws, and how Cannonball is nigh invulnerable while blasting. But every issue is someone's first issue, and you can pick up one of those Claremont X-Men books, even if it's part of a crossover or something, and still figure out what's going on. Nowadays, like comics still have a recap page, but I still feel like I'm missing something.
Oh, totally. And I just love Claremont too, especially. I think me and you might have talked about this before. When you pick up like a Claremont issue of X-Men or something, and it'll like cut to a new scene, and it'll be like the outside of like some sort of spaceship, and it'll have like 5 word bubbles, and you already know who's who without even seeing them. Like,
yeah,
oh man, I'm so jealous of his dialogue. I don't know how he does it, but he's just a pure genius, that guy.
Yeah, he had something special. There's nothing like those X-Men comics, and they've aged amazingly well. And he did so much, and it was basically because he had a unique voice, and he got a book that was selling pretty poorly, and he could do whatever he wanted on it. Like that's how Frank Miller got away with what he did on Daredevil.
Yeah, and that just goes to show that it's like when it's your voice and you're doing something honest, like chances are it might turn out well. But all these guys that are trying to be Grant Morrison are trying to just copy Alan Moore, just like, let me make it dark and talk about the thresholds and space and the 40 different dimensions, that sort of stuff. When you just try to copy someone, it just comes off as a cheap imitation. And Claremont was just being himself, and he's a freaking good writer. I'm glad he didn't try to be Stan Lee or didn't try to be whoever. He wasn't trying to be like, I'm going to be the next Jerry Siegel or whoever.
Yeah, and what amazed me about his books too is like the early All New, All Different Team books. They're pretty like standard superhero fare. There was definitely a lot more soap opera aspects to it, but as time went on, like it grew organically. And I think when the John Byrne run came around, it started getting like heavier. And I think issue 150, which is the first issue of X-Men I ever read, where they introduced Magneto's backstory and made him like a fully fleshed out character instead of just some like crazy evil genius who uses magnets to, do whatever. He added like depth to the characters. And what's interesting is he essentially, he had editors and stuff, but he thought of these characters as real people, and he was able to, he had these very organic paths for them to go on since he had a 17-year tenure. Like he knew these characters inside and out. And issue 175, where Cyclops gets married to Madeline Pryor, was interesting. He was going to get rid of Cyclops completely. Cyclops wasn't going to come back. He said, "This is the end of Scott's story. That's it. Maybe Nightcrawler might be the next to get married or move on with his life, and then eventually, Cannonball and Sunspot would be X-Men, and it would just kind of be this organic thing." And there's a whole era where they were in the Outback, but it was related to events from past things, and you can't really do that now. Like if you were to put the X-Men in the Outback, it would have to be a new writer coming on. They'd have to change up the status quo, and it would kind of feel forced. And even a lot of the best X-Men stuff is just taking its cues from Claremont.
Let me see in the chat. Drawn Talk Tyler says, "What do you think about the Allegiance Indiegogo happening, but no Red Rooster?" Honestly, I think it's pretty stupid. I don't know. I feel if he wants to do all those books, well, he should have done them before or after Red Rooster. That goes for anyone else too. Launching before you fulfill. If you want to start some company and do 20 million books, I mean, that's cool, but do your current obligations first. That way you don't have hundreds of people, if not thousands, wondering where the book is and giving them no reason to back you, because, I mean, how do they know you'll deliver the second time? Oh, well. Huh?
Have there been any updates on the progress of Red Rooster? Because that's one I've been really excited about.
Honestly, no. I asked him on Twitter the other day because he's like, "Yeah, we have like 100 pages done at Allegiance here, whatever." And I was like, "And how many of those are Red Rooster?" And he's like, "Well, I'm just one man. You could try to compete with me." I was like, "Who said anything about competing? I'm just asking you how many pages are done." And he just started to avoid it and wouldn't tell me. And I think other people have asked and he hasn't said, which leads me to think he only has like 10 pages done. It's too embarrassed to say, but I'm not going to assume.
Well, as an artist, I have to say that a lot of these guys who had the really big, the big campaigns and stuff like that, they are living the dream. They don't have to do the monthly grind. So, you do have to worry about the customers and things like that, but I assume he's just kind of, Ethan was the same way with Cyberfrog. Like, he spent more time on his pages than he would have normally, but he doesn't have to do the monthly grind anymore, and I assume he want to take some time off.
And I wish them success on their new campaign for this Allegiance campaign thing, but I just want Red Rooster. It's like I didn't pay him to start some company, and I paid him to put out this book, so it's just I understand being late, where this is the celebration stream for Blood Reaper, and we were telling people July and now it's October, so I understand being late, but at least I could sit here and tell you guys how many pages are done. All 60 are done. Now it's just in the lettering stage. I guess I don't have the exact number of pages lettered, but it's probably between like 40 and 50, I think. Some of them because some of them are silent, so I'm adding that in too. Just knowing that like some are silent and the ones with words are already lettered, so I'm just gonna go with like 40, but that 40 to ish, but that just lumps in some of the silent pages that don't require any lettering. Because there are quite a few pages like that don't need any lettering at all in this book. He might add some sound effects, here and there, but so I we're very close to the end or close to the finish line. I just hate that, if you're going to put out a product and then start telling people buy more product, well, you got to give us something. You got to give us some type of number of how much is done. I just want to know, because I paid for it, and it shouldn't be something that people are like, oh, well, how dare you ask, or you sure you want to talk about this? Because we funded a book, a book that we were told would be ready in March. So if you're going to be this late, please tell us the progress. I don't want to hear about your other books this, your other books that, because I have like, I don't know, I have like 6 other novels just sitting collecting dust in my computer. Nobody's going to care if I talk about that. Everyone wants to hear about Blood Reaper and where that one is. Most people don't care if I put up another book, because they're like, well, where's this first one we paid for? I even have people coming at me asking about Brutus, and I've never even been the one in charge of shipping Brutus, and people are still asking me about it. So people really want those previous books, fulfilled first before there are any others. Jiminy Cricket says the allegiance thing kind of annoys me. They're 6 months late. I think it's 7, and it's because they've been creating other content. Exactly. I don't want to turn this into a whole like stream of slamming on people. So feel free to change the subject at any time, guys. But just a couple more things in the chat to read. Jiminy also says, fulfill your obligations to the people who paid you for your books and have given you seed money before you move on to other stuff. Tyler says, you're updating people and you're not doing other campaigns. You're more pro than these pros. And Tyler also says, I'm not a customer when it's an Indiegogo. I'm a producer, an investor. I'm part of the business. You owe me the page count. That is true. But anyways, I don't want to turn this into a whole slamming on somebody for, being late or not sharing updates. But it is very depressing when you put money into it and they got thousands of people to back and we can't even know a page count. But I don't know. I think that's all I want to say on it. I'm disappointed with it.
Yeah, I think accountability is a huge thing. Like, certain creators will, post regular updates with art and stuff like that. And, while you can't show like every single page that's completed because it'll spoil the story, I think it's good. Like what I want to do is when I eventually launch mine is as the pages past the first chapter done, maybe post like little snippets from each page as they're completed just to let people know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely one of those things, like you said, they're producers and they're trusting you a lot. And I'm going to be doing everything myself, like all the writing, art, coloring, lettering. So, hopefully I can keep up the pace.
I'll read that, by the way, if you want someone to read it or give you feedback or something, send it my way.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
And you can see the first 9 pages. I'm about every week or so, if you don't mind me plugging, I'm posting a new page from my original series, Witches Woods, on my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yeah, plug away.
Yeah. So if you look up Ian J. Miller on Facebook, that's me. You can find some pages there. I'm gonna launch a Facebook page for the series soon. I just have to come up with a logo that I like for the book. Instagram, ian.j.miller, and Twitter at Ian Miller Comics.
Pretty sweet. Tim, are you still there? Or did you die?
No, I'm here. I'm working.
Okay. Can you show us what
He's
you're
got to draw that
you're
Infinity
drawing?
Gauntlet.
What? Can I show you what? I wasn't paying attention.
Can you show us what you're drawing?
No, I'm not drawing. I'm lettering.
Oh, okay. Can you show us what you're lettering?
I can't because it's a spoiler. Because it's the last 2 pages of Soul Finder.
Oh, okay.
Not unless you want to have the ending spoiled for you.
I'm gonna have to PayPal you or Doug for a copy because I meant to back it and I just kind of forgot and then it ended. So I'm gonna have to PayPal one of you guys whenever the copies come in. I'll have to PayPal you guys for one of them.
I'll hook you up. I'll send you my copies because I know Doug is ordering a lot of extra for himself and for future shows, but typically it's standard that you give people some comp copies, and I want that to be his thing. Actually, that's one thing we never talked about. Like I should have asked him like how many copies we can get each because, man, I kind of want some to sell for myself too. But it's his baby. But I'll hook you up. It's no problem, man.
I'll pay for it.
You can buy me dinner if we go to C2E2 because I just by the way, while you were earlier on before I started lettering, I went ahead and applied to C2E2.
Sweet.
So I just filled out all that stuff, but it's a waiting list apparently. I mean, it was like an Artist Alley waiting list page. So I went over there, and they do say like, oh, if there's any questions, contact so and so at ReadPop. But we'll see. So it's done. I submitted that as of a few hours ago, or a few minutes ago.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. That'd be pretty cool.
No, that'd be dope if we could meet because it's not that far from me. Like if I take a plane, it's less than 2 hours from here. It's like a straight shot up north. I've been to Chicago twice.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder who else is going. I know I met Elliot last year, but he's not gonna be going this year. I already asked. I was hoping to meet Josh Howard, the T-Bird and Throttle guy.
He seems cool. I talked to him recently.
Yeah, I've talked to him a couple times. I was really hoping to meet him. I think he was supposed to be there this year, but then he canceled. It's like, oh no. I think I'm trying to remember who else. I think there might have been like one other person I was supposed to meet that ended up canceling too. But there were a few people I was hoping to meet in Artist Alley that ended up not going. But I did meet Elliot, so that was pretty cool. Met Elliot and I bought like all of his horror prints. I think it was like 12 different prints. I bought them all.
I've actually not had the pleasure of talking to him, even though like Matt Weldon is really good friends with him apparently.
Oh, yeah, you should bring Weldon with you too if you end up coming here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's how we hope to do it. But the thing is, on this application form, they don't even ask you like what type of table you want. Like, there's no specifics. It's just like, hey, tell us who you are, give us a link to your website, and then hit submit. So that's what I did. Doesn't ask you like how many tables are you looking for or anything like that. I guess it's because it's so competitive that they basically decide like, oh, you're in or you're out, and this is how much space we're going to give you. I put all the Trump stuff I did too in my bio, so I'm just like, oh my gosh, I might have shot myself in the foot with this one, but oh well.
Possibly.
Yeah. That's okay though. Like, that's the thing is like a lot of we have been very fortunate because we typically do like 13 conventions a year, and we never have to pay for like, or we haven't had to pay for booth space or anything like that. A lot of that's covered, but the larger conventions, typically I just end up going with like a bigger company or something like that and don't have to worry about it, and they basically just lease part of their booth to me. But going solo, it's harder, much harder, especially if it's a bigger convention.
Yeah, I applied for Artist Alley one time, and then I realized I had like nothing to put on my table.
Well, and you're not like technically an artist. You'd almost be better being a like a vendor almost.
Yeah. We'll see though. Maybe if I ever make comics again, maybe I'll try and get a table at least once.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I just have so much fun just like walking around. It's like, do I want to be confined to this table? Because I just go as a fan and I just have a blast.
That is rough. We do at pretty much every convention we do, we're sitting behind a booth and we're just used to it. We used to miss the whole walking around and seeing stuff, but you see the same stuff all the time. Like after you do it a couple of times for that year.
That's true. It's like I'm never gonna buy this Action Comics #1, but I just like going up to it and seeing it.
Yes, just like eyeing it. But I will tell you, like, even the larger conventions where they reveal things, like, oh, we're gonna reveal this movie trailer or whatever. It's cool, if you haven't seen it before. But the reality is that after a couple of weeks, it comes out. So unless you just want the bragging rights to be the first one to do it, I mean, it's going to be privy to everyone at some point. So even like the luster of that's gone away over time.
Yeah, I never really cared for that stuff, but I mean, I just have a fun time just walking around, meeting artists, I don't know, finding cool stuff on the floor. A couple of my friends sometimes set up at C2E2. They sell comics, and so it's cool, seeing some of your friends. You only see like once a year, and going over to their booth. That kind of stuff's fun.
Right. Yeah, and I like doing that too. I like meeting new people. I like meeting people I haven't met before. So I'm actually going to meet Graham Nolan here in a few weeks.
Oh, okay.
He's coming. Yeah, he's coming to a show here, and he and I have talked numerous times. This is going to be our first time actually like hanging out together. So I'm super excited for that.
I've never talked to him, but I think we're Facebook friends, and well, I know we were. I haven't like checked, if we still are, but like I remember he accepted my friend request like a year ago, and I was just freaking out. I was like, oh my goodness.
Well, what you find out is that like artists and writers and stuff, if they're good people, they're very accessible because we're not like celebrities or anything. Like that is the biggest pitfall. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm not talking smack about anyone, but the biggest pitfall that you can have as a creator is to think that you're a bigger celebrity than you actually are, because the reality is that if you're a comics person, you might have name recognition, but people can't recognize you in public. And in fact, it's like you bring your name up, in a circle of, I don't know, lawyers, or engineers, or doctors, or fast food workers, and most people aren't going to know who you are. So
Right.
it's always good to practice a deal of humility. And that's the thing I like about some of these older guys like Chuck and Graham, is they're very humble. Like, you can message them out of the blue. They might not know who you are, but they'll talk to you like
Same.
normal people.
That's what I like about Mike Barron. Mike Barron, man. The
Yeah,
amount of
holy
times
cow.
I messaged him about like writing this, writing that. You want to read this? And he's like, "Sure, kid." like can I mail you my book? And he's like, "Sure." Like
I feel bad. I feel bad for him because he's had so many good projects in the works, and some of his business dealings just haven't panned out the way that they should have. And so I hope that things look up for him either later this year or early next year. Because I mean, like, I've read 2 of his scripts, and he's a hysterical guy. Like, his writing is it's top notch. I mean, it's not like, it's not deep or anything, but in terms of entertaining and just getting to the point, it is. So I picked up this book by him. It's called G-Force Punisher in Space. So it's like the Punisher goes in space and like shoots people and stuff. And I was just dying laughing. It was some of the best stuff I'd ever read. And I was just like, on its surface, it sounds kind of dumb, but also intriguing. Like, Punisher in space? All right, I'll check this out. And sure enough, he goes into a rocket and he kills people in space. I mean, what more do you want? What more are you looking for?
Mark Pellegrini's in the chat. Mark, you have the link if you want to come on.
Yeah, Mark. Come here, Mark.
He says we pay for our conventions with alternative currency. I don't want to know what that means, Mark.
Wait, let me read it again. Let's see. We pay for our conventions with alternative currency. I really don't understand it. He's joking, but I have no idea what he's referring to.
Bitcoin.
LA
Bitcoin and sexual favors.
Oh, I get it. Latex condom. Boy, I'd sure like to live in one of those. That was a quote from The Simpsons. That was Grandpa Simpson. I understood that reference.
I didn't. But yeah, Mark, come on. We're probably going for, I don't know, another half hour probably, I think.
I don't know. I need to eat. Holy cow. I've been awake since 9 and I haven't eaten anything. Shame on me.
Oh, he says he's at work.
Yeah, he is at work. Sad.
Oh, man. Poor Mark.
I know, right? Mark is such a good guy. Like, he does something that he and I get flustered because, we were talking about it before, but something that we have in common is that we're not of the industry. Like, we have outside work. And so some of the insanity that we see, we're like, this would never fly in the real world, quote unquote. But I'm like hot-headed, and Mark is able to keep cool as a cucumber. And he has more reason than me, I think, in a lot of ways to be upset. And I'm like, why don't you say anything? And he's like, cuz, like, 1, who's going to pay attention to me? 2, what's it going to affect? And what, at some point I probably will, but you got to bide your time with a lot of stuff. And so it's like, well, what if that time never comes? And he's like, well, then don't say anything. So I don't know.
I couldn't be that calm. Mark, I don't think you were here at the start of the stream, but when I was talking about horror movies, tonight I'm watching the original Fright Night for the first time.
I like the remake. I have never seen the original. Mark's gonna kill me for saying that, but
I have both of them. But tonight I'm watching the original, and then in a couple weeks I think I'm watching the remake. It's somewhere on my list that's next to me. I don't feel like reading it, but tonight is the original, and then I think in a couple weeks I'm watching the remake.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the remake stars that guy who he passed away. Oh, he kind of looked like Tom Holland. He played Chekhov in the Star Trek movie.
Never seen it.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, okay.
No, I'm not into Star Trek.
I'm not either, but I kind of like those remakes. I know it's like blasphemy, but I like the last, not the last one, but I like the first 2 that they made. I think
I watched one episode of the Star Trek show, and that was because for Stardust, Sean was like, I'm modeling the alien ship after one in Star Trek. Have you ever seen it? I was like, no. He's like, just watch this episode on Netflix. So I watched the episode. I was kind of bored with it. Yeah. Mark says Tim is a poser. He's calling you out.
I am. Why am I a poser? Oh yeah.
He's like, the remake, you know nothing of Roddy McDowell.
Oh my gosh. So I was watching this anime last night because I think Mark was the one who recommended it, or we have a friend named Christina who told us about it. And the SWC guys talked about it too. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna look this up. And it's called Ghost Stories. And it's an anime where Aniplex, they dubbed over it, and the plot is essentially the same, but they basically just put their own jokes in it, and it's hysterical. I saw 3 episodes last night. That's that clip I posted where this guy is going to use the bathroom and like a monster reaches out of the toilet.
Dude, I was just so confused when I was watching that. I'm like, what are you trying to show me?
So good. Oh my gosh. Like, and it's an older one too. That's like from 2000.
Oh man. Heartbreaker wants me to put the camera on. No, I don't want to put my camera on. No. Mark says Ghost Story is like a rated X samurai pizza cats.
No, it's not. It's like tame. What are you talking about? It's so tame. My gosh, I'm 3 episodes in, and it's like, oh my gosh, you knew it was a 2000s thing because they make so many politically incorrect jokes. But I don't know, it's super funny. Like there's this part where you can tell that when they dubbed it, they made one of the main characters like a super fundamentalist Christian, and so she's talking to this other group of kids, and they're walking through a haunted house, and she's like, just tell me, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior? And the guy replies like, what? No, I'm Jewish. And I was cracking up because I just had never, like, it's been so long since I've heard something like that where they kind of ad-libbed it. I was like, oh, I see why this thing has a cult following.
Heartbreaker says you only read the comments that are addressed to you. I guess, maybe. I don't know. There wasn't much in the chat to read. Now this is getting awkward. Oh man. I'm gonna copy the link again for my books on Amazon, and I'm putting them here in the chat for you guys. If you guys want to buy them, they're perfect for this time of year. If you guys want something spooky to read. I was about to say something. I completely forgot. I think I had another line to go with that. Huh?
We're talking about anime.
Anime.
It doesn't sound really bad, but I just bought a body pillow.
Oh my goodness.
But it's not the body pillow you think it's going to be.
Is it the body pillow that John was selling?
No, it is not. It is a completely different body pillow.
Oh my goodness. I don't want to know about this.
I'll send it to you in the chat afterwards. I want it to be a surprise because I'm so proud of it. I want to show people. Like I'll tweet about it. But only when it arrives. I'll take a picture of me with it.
Oh my goodness.
It's so good.
Oh man. But yeah, if you guys want to get my books on Amazon, they're perfect for this time of year. The Eclipse Theater is suspense and horror short stories. Eternity is a horror novel, and Duality is a horror comedy. And they're each $10 for the paperback and $2.99 for the ebooks.
Do it.
Which have you guys bought any of them yet? I'm putting you guys on the spot.
No, you can't do that. Naughty, naughty.
Ian, you alive? Ian?
What's up?
He's lettering too.
I'm scanning and emailing.
Oh, okay.
I'm at that fun part of a cover right now where you draw the entire thing and then you send it in and get notes back, and then you just have to like change little things. It becomes a graphic design project.
Oh man, I think like I'm trying to think of like all the corrections I've ever sent an artist to do, but the only one I could think of is like just one page ever where Sean forgot to draw on a page of Blood Reaper. He forgot to draw a necklace. That was like the only ever time.
No, really?
Yeah.
Well, stuff like that's important. I don't mind those things. Like if it helps the story, or if it's like a screw up on my part,
Yeah.
That's stuff like that's fine because like if a character's missing a necklace in one panel, people are going to notice.
Yeah, I think it's annoying whenever I hear people they're like, yeah, the writer sent it back to me saying I forgot the lamp in the background. I'm like, the lamp? Like why is there got to be a lamp? Like the ceiling light's on. And they're like, no, but he wants a lamp. What?
Yeah, stuff like that is kind of weird. I'm always like, we talked about this, like the story is the most important thing. So if it helps the story, that's fine. But yeah, I guess like the writer's very particular about his lighting.
Oh man!
And then when he put a lamp in, was it the right kind of lamp?
Mark Pellegrini says, Nasser's horror novels are original because he hasn't seen enough horror movies to actually rip anything off.
Shots fired.
Wow, Mark, I feel betrayal. Just kidding. Then Jiminy Cricket says, I just got a body pillow. Things not to admit on a live stream if you're a guy.
Yeah. Who says it was for me? I said I bought it. I didn't say it was.
Well, you said you were going to take a picture with it, so I just assume it's.
Oh, I will. Oh, I will.
It better be a bunny.
It's so good. Oh, I'll just tell you what it is. So, I won't. It's a surprise. There has to be a little bit of surprise in the world.
Okay, leave it as a surprise, but tell me afterwards.
I will
about this.
I'll send you a link to it. Actually, hold on. I'll send you a link right now, but you can't show anyone. Okay.
Okay. Let me get Twitter opened up.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's gonna have a picture of Nasser on it.
Yeah, it's a Nasser body pillow.
I'd probably cry. I'd be like, "Why does this exist?"
I always thought Nasser was pretty waifu.
What?
He is peak waifu material.
Like, I don't even know what that word means.
Waifu, it just means
your
wife or whatever.
Yeah, don't tell Nasser I said this, but he's a kawaii senpai.
He is kawaii. Oh, you're so kawaii.
No, this is weird. I'm waiting.
Kawaii
Nasser. This body pillow.
Nasser-kun.
Jiminy says, "Send it to me. I won't tell. Maybe if I ever get it."
Hey, Nasser, when you see this, you're gonna want one. You're gonna be like, "Where do I get that? That's nuts." Okay, hold on. I'm sending it to you right now. Let's take a look here.
All right, let me share my screen. I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Because trust me, you're gonna be like, dude, don't show anyone until like you get it, because that's gonna be awesome. Okay, here it goes. Sent. Check it out.
Click on it now. It's loading. It's taking forever to load. Wait, what now? What? That's actually hilarious.
It's a body pillow, right? It is a body pillow.
Dude, that's gold. That's absolutely gold.
Dude, Can you just imagine like the photo, like the fun you can have with the pictures and stuff?
Oh my goodness.
Is that not the coolest thing?
Yeah. And Mark is saying, notice me.
No one cares about you, Mark. We noticed you if you were in the stream, like chatting with us.
And he says I laugh like Muttley? Who's Muttley?
Oh, oh my gosh, you're making me feel old. Muttley, from Dick Dastardly, like those Hanna-Barbera cartoons. He's that dog, like, hee. Oh my gosh, I can't even laugh like him. Like,
I'm just gonna Google this.
I tried it and I sounded like Michael Jackson. It was awful.
Oh, I know who this is. I didn't know the name.
Jiminy Cricket says, I'm guessing it's a Trump body pillow. It is not, but good guess. That is a very good guess.
Oh, man. Jiminy's upset also that I didn't know who Muttley was. It's like, I can't, like, we get, like, a bunch of different people in these chats and in these streams, and everyone's like, you don't know every single reference I ever make? Like, I'm not going to know everything. Are you guys still there?
Yes, I'm here.
It just went all silent for a second. I was like, what's going on? Oh man, I see Ian's muted. Maybe the dog is barking again.
Yep, I'm back.
Oh, okay. Was the dog barking?
Yeah. No, I just had to visit the boys' room.
Jiminy is asking, why is Tim Lim on Nasser's show? I don't get it. Mark says, you haven't seen Fright Night, you haven't seen Wacky Races, you ain't no boomer. Okay. I'm watching Fright Night tonight. As soon as my brother gets home from school, which I think, well, college, when he gets home, it'll probably be around 5:30. Probably watch it by 6, I think. Man. I'm dreading having to go all the way upstairs to watch it, then all the way back down here to make the review.
It's a real horror movie right there.
Man, you guys, I have 1,200 bags and boards I have to put together to prepare for this campaign, and I did 1,000 of them with Stardust last time. Oh man, it was not fun, and I'm just dreading it. I finally took them out the boxes because they were all in the BCW boxes that they sent it to me, and I finally opened it up yesterday, and I was like, I should start putting these together, but then I was like, I don't want to cough all over them.
I'm replying to Brett Smith. We're going over our draft right now.
Pretty cool. Oh man. I got a text from Joey. Should I reply saying where are the pages?
Who's Joe? Oh, is that your letter?
Yeah. Oh man. Whew. Sorry to keep you out, right? Guys. I'm just exhausted. The stream is just going to turn into all of us yelling.
I haven't eaten yet. I have an excuse.
Oh man, should we end the stream and let Tim go eat?
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm gonna have to brew up coffee cup number 5.
Okay, I'll stop holding Tim hostage. And we still got 12 people in here, so guys, please hit the like. And even though this stream is ending, please share it out. Let me see. Someone in the chat, Curious 2A says better be the original Fright Night. Yes, it is the original. I'm watching the original tonight. I think in a couple weeks I'm watching the remake. But 12 people watching, guys, please hit the thumbs up. Please share it out, even though it's ending. And I'm putting the link one last time here in the chat for my book. So please check this out on Amazon and Kindle. And thank you guys all for tuning in. And thank you guys for joining me on the stream. Thank you, Jiminy, as well for joining on the stream, even though you kept leaving. All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Oh, later.